Good morning, everybody. I am Amalgam Mash. Welcome back to the channel. This is Smile Game Builder. We are going to be prototyping a game quickly by putting all of our events on one map right from the get-go, right from scratch. This is a concept that could work with any RPG engine of your choice. What we're going to be doing basically is taking all of the events that we're going to want the player to interact with, all of our main quest events and even our side quest events. We're going to be putting them all on the same map so that when we do our test playing, we don't have 50 maps to run around. Now, we'll take the events after successfully completing the test play and put them on different and new maps, which we don't have to go and design each and every single map right out of the gate to put the events in. We can just prototype. Literally, when it comes to the appearance of things, it doesn't matter what you do. You can prototype using any asset, any monster, any graphic, anything like that you want. You can always go back and edit the appearance of something, if not all at the same time. The really important part is the functionality and the eventing. So if all of that makes sense to you already, then you're basically done watching the video. But if you'd like to see it in practice and bring up my watch time for the algorithm, then we're going to go ahead and make a game. So we'll just make a very simple game. And in SGB, I do this by just loading up the default file. I'm not going to change anything, any of the metadata, no adding assets, no editing game data. I'm not going to change the name of the main character. I'm not going to put a name for the project. Although for when I save, it'll ask me to do that. And I'm not even going to change any of the graphics on the map. I'm just going to go straight to events. So, if I'm designing a game that's going to have, it's going to be an RPG, and it's going to have a main quest, I'm going to probably use just one variable, and that's going to be an integer or a number variable if I have control over that. Not a switch, not a bunch of switches, just one variable. And I'm going to have, perhaps it'll be a fetch quest that starts off with you having to go get an item from another NPC and then bring the item back to the first NPC. And then after you do that, they'll tell you where to go next. And then you'll go on this long string of quests that basically makes up the entire game that you're trying to make, because any RPG that you can pick out in recent years or any of the retro or classic or vintage RPGs, whatever you want to call them, they all are comprised of just one main quest, which may or may not branch. But assuming it doesn't branch, then it's one main quest. And they likely all use just one variable to govern the mechanics around that one quest. Let's begin, and we could use any of the default events, but we're just going to use an advanced event, and we're going to place right there, and we are going to go ahead and just grab Hero A style. He's looking fantastic. He looks great. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a condition, and if the variable of which we have 1,000 global variables. I know you're going to count, oh, Ash, it's 999. It's 1,000 because you need to add the very first variable, which has an index of 0. That means you've got 1,000. We're going to add, or rather, initialize. I think these are all basically, in as many of them as you are using in your game, they initialize when you make your game. But we're going to name one. We're going to conceive that this variable now exists. Okay, so we'll call it MSQ for main story quest. Pretty common convention, right? We're not going to screw with the local variables. We don't need to. If this equals 0, which it should by default, but we're going to test that in the test play, right? Then he's going to say, oh, hi. And also, you'll notice I'm not going to give a crap about the kind of dialogue I'm putting in here. I'm going to use placeholder dialogue. Because they can go back and change the dialogue as well. And if you are working on a team, especially with an engine that's difficult to work with others in, like SGB, but can be done, you can have one person go and change all of the dialogue from the placeholder stuff to more official dialogue that you might have typed out in a Word document or something, if you go that route. And the placeholder dialogue could even be as simple as, 1 or NPC 1. Now, if you use a script, you could refer to NPC 1 in the script, maybe do Control F for find, and just have a whole wall of dialogue. But I won't do that because I'm not using any other software for this example. I'm just using SGB itself. So I will put some rudimentary text in here that gives me an idea of what kind of polish I need to give it later. So enter dialogue text display. Hi, you exist in this magic world, and now you must go talk to another NPC. Maybe a king. Alright, and that's all I'm going to do, except I'm going to add a variable box, and variable number 0 MSQ is now going to be 1. We're going to overwrite whatever the value is in the MSQ variable, and it's going to be 1. And the reason that I'm overwriting it, you might think, Ash, I see where you're going with this, because this is all I'm going to have for this event, period. There's going to be nothing else for this event in particular. But Ash, if the event, if you continue talking to NPCs and you overwrite the variable instead of, adding to it or whatever, and you come back to this event and you talk to this guy again, isn't he going to just overwrite your variable and it's going to be 1 again? No, because in order for this dialogue to trigger, MSQ has to be equal to 0. So this dialogue will never trigger again after MSQ becomes 1. So that's going to do a couple different things, but I'm not going to go into it right now. Right now, I'm just going to create that event. I'm actually going to get myself where I can see the event a little bit better. Yeah, that's what I want. Hi there. And now we're going to put another event. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to use the exact... Well, just for your sake, we'll use a different hero. We'll use a different graphic. We'll use a different model. And we'll do our message first. Actually, we need to get into a good, clean habit of adding the condition before we do anything else. So if variable box is equal to 1 now, we will display this text. Oh hi, I'm the king. Oh hi, Mark. Talk to the knight. Talk to the guard to get into the storeroom. And now we're going to, again, variable box MSQ will now equal 2. Apply. Okay. And we'll do one more. We've changed the visual. We're going to add a condition. MSQ has to be equal to 2. He's going to do a dialogue. Hey, you can go into the treasure room. I had too many to drink. Hick. Now, the dialogue is nonsense, right? That doesn't matter. All that matters is that this works on a functional level, and that you get the concept that this is quick and easy to do. These 3 NPCs could be on completely different maps. And because we are using a global variable, an integer in this case, to discern whether or not they're even going to appear on the map, your player will be able to follow this quest logically, in order. But like I said, there are some things that are going to happen that we did not account for yet, and you'll find out what those are. First of all, I need to set the start position to the upper right corner. Alright, so it's SGB, and I did not set any pages in those events for what would happen if the variables that I used were outside of the range that I specified. So this variable is 0, and because this variable is 0, these other 2 events don't even show up. And they won't show up. They won't show up at the same time. So, hi, you exist in this magic world, now you must go talk to another NPC, maybe a king. And there's the king, because the variable is now a 1. And because the variable is a 1, the event that has if variable is 0 is now gone, and the event that has if variable is 2 is now gone. Still gone, I should say. So we talk to this guy. Oh, hi, I'm the king. Talk to the guard, get into the storeroom. The guard's going to appear because the variable that I set, MSQ, is now 3. And now that it's 3, these two guys they don't exist anymore. I might be jumping the gun a little bit. And now he disappears because the variable has increased again. Now I think it's 3, actually. It was 2 before. It went from 0 to 1 to 2 and is now 3. And if you want to check that in SGB, you can hit F5 to bring up your current variables, which in this case, variable box MSQ, the value of it is now 3. There's a similar method to check your active variables in RPG Maker. We will change that to 2 and apply it. And it's 2 now, so now this guy's back, and we can talk to him again. But right after, it changes to 3 and he disappears. So far all of this makes sense, right? But it cuts down on our playtesting time by a load, because we're not having to run all over these different detailed maps that we made, running into random battles that we set up for the player. This is now the debug room. Alright, so this is the gist of it. I'm going to go into a couple more scenarios. We want to add the condition of the variable box equaling 3, and then we'll have display the message. You took the broad sowed, and we'll change the variable to 4. And this time, instead of a person, I want to make this pretty obvious that it is an inanimate object. We are reaching into a chest this time. The goal is to cut down on prototype time, so we're not going to be picky. But we do want it to be a chest, so we'll just make it be a chest. And now that that is a thing that has happened, we're going to talk to the king again. If this is the king, let's add another sheet. This time, if the variable box is 4, he's here again, and he's going to say, now that you got the road sold, go kill the monster. Bring me back his head. And we're going to change the MSQ variable to 5. The value of the integers in SGB, they are not actually integers. They call them integers in the event text files in the program. They're not actually integers. They are way bigger than integers are. And I believe they can go into the negatives. We are actually going to test that. Again, forgot to set my start position near these jokers. Alright, so we've already tested these guys. They disappear. We don't really want them to disappear, so we'll work on that as well. I got the broadsword. The king is back. Now that you got the broadsword, go kill the monster, bring me back his head. So the player knows where to go in this pre-alpha. We gotta go kill the monster. However, first of all, I want to see if I can change that. You can change them to -4. So you can go into the negatives with these as well. So they're actually closer to long variables. But they're not floating point. They're not floating point at all. You can't do decimals. So we need to come up with a way to get these guys to still be there whenever the variable for MSQ is not set to the number where they will actually advance the quest. So we're going to add a page. The graphic, it's very, very handy. It just stays. And I'm not even going to give him text. That's for the next guy to deal with. That's for tomorrow's Ash. The next guy is not going to have dialogue. The next page is not going to have dialogue. I want him to have dialogue, but this is prototyping, baby. We don't waste time on vanilla dialogue. The chest, we're going to give it a page as well. But this one, I'm going to also skip its dialogue. I'd like to put something ideally like you couldn't open the chest, or you're not allowed to open the chest, or whatever. Okay, next we're going to put an advanced event here. And here, I'm going to put a message that's going to replace an entire event that happened. So the message is, you fight this monster and get its head as a reward to take back to the king. And we will change the variable box yet again, this time to 6. So I made the point about the amount of numbers that each of these integers can hold because you see this variable climbing relatively quickly in our playtest. But it doesn't matter because this variable can go up to 999,999, and if you absolutely must have more than 1 million points of interest in your game where just the MSQ advances, you can use a second variable. You can use an MSQ2 variable, and that is if you are against letting this one go into the negatives, because you could just as easily double the value by letting it go into the negatives. If it can go negative 999,000. Actually, I'm not totally certain that it can't go into 9,999,999. I know that it either can or can't, but I can't remember right now. So we're going to change the graphic on this guy to a monster. Maybe. Yeah, it's in the character. It's in the character. And because I'm in the habit, or want to get into the habit, oh yeah, we got to add the condition. I almost forgot to do that, and that would have been a very bad thing to happen. That is a switch. We need the variable. Now, you fight this monster, gets head reward, take back to the king. You want to change the variable. You don't just want to get the item. I think it's best to do it that way, because if you're working on a pretty complex system where there are a lot of key items and a lot of items that you could go get from like a store vendor or something, I think it's just better to have the habit in place where you're using the variable to control what the objectives of the quest are for your player. If you do just want to do a check on whether or not the item is in the player's inventory, then I feel like that opens it up for just one problem. What if the player somehow gets that item by other means? You don't have to worry about it if you're making a pretty short, quick adventure, but I do really think sticking to the MSQ variable is a great habit to get into, because you can always combine that with checking to see whether the player has got the item in his inventory. And if you combine the two conditions together and say, I sell this monster's head to a store vendor or something and go back to the king, then I can have the king give the player a completely new response, because he's killed the monster, and we know he's killed the monster, but he didn't take the head back to the king. So the king will then go something like, you fool, I'm going to throw you in the dungeon. How dare you lie to me about killing the monster? So we're going to apply just that stuff. If we want to make that event more complex and actually give the item and stuff, we can. That will not be an issue. We can actually even delegate that to another member of our team. And now the king, yet again, will have another page. And that page will be, if MSQ equals 6, then he's going to say, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. It happens. He's going to say, Link, my boy, you are Telit Haxors. You win. And here I'm going to put a dialogue event that will say, roll credits. And again, that is a placeholder, because we don't have to make all of that stuff. So, just to reiterate, I'm going to play this one more time. Really need to remember to start myself out in the Northwest. Everybody's here now, but now nobody has anything to say. And treasure chest won't open, and just this guy he's not talking either. This was a good thing. This is good that this happened on camera, because now I get to figure out why that is. And the reason that is because I've got a second event sheet where MSQ is equal to 0. MSQ is also equal to 0 on this sheet. So in Smile Game Builder, specifically, if you have two event sheets with the exact same conditions, the event sheet that is furthest to the right will trigger, and when an event sheet is done processing, the event ends. It does not then check the next sheet after and go down the line. That's not how the event sheets work. Because this event sheet's conditions are true, and it's got no content, nothing changes, the MSQ variable doesn't change, because this is getting processed because its conditions by which it will process are true, and then nothing changes, so then it just continues to be like this. So to get around that, we're going to add a condition, and the condition is if variable box is not equal to 0. And we'll have placeholders, text in here and stuff too. So like, if this is like our cute fluffy animal that welcomes us into the isekai world, let's make this the start point. Good job, Ash. Galaxy Brain Ash. Then he'll have new things to say every time the MSQ variable changes. Now, if you want to see a really really, really good example of an MSQ variable controlling all kinds of stuff, just play any MMORPG, and when you complete an objective, specifically like, okay, Final Fantasy XIV, you're at a part during the quest when the other major hero characters are journeying with you, and you've got them standing around. They're all NPCs. They've all got something unique that they'll say. And then as soon as you talk to the one you're supposed to talk to and the text advances, that person they're done talking to you, so they'll walk away. And now all of the people who are in your party who are still there, you can still talk to them. It's not necessary that you do so because your quest objective is to go do something else now. But the people will now all say something different, and it's because now that variable has changed. Now there might be a little bit more that could go into it because it's Square Enix. It's been so long. And there are coding techniques and such that they follow. They might have a lot more that they do. But you can achieve that with just one variable, and by changing just one variable. So you talk to your person who welcomes you to the isekai world. And now he won't talk to us. Why won't he talk to us? Do you know why? Yeah, you got it. It's because his second event sheet doesn't have any... his fourth event sheet doesn't have any conditions. So this is the king, and we want to make sure that he's there, but we don't want this event sheet to be all the way to the right. We'd actually like for that one to get processed last. So one thing that you can do is you can copy it, and you can go all the way to the beginning. You can paste it, and it'll paste it it actually pastes it just after the first event sheet, which I think is annoying. What happens if we add from here? That's not good either. That's no good. Let's get rid of these. I don't mind this happening, and I'm not going to edit it out because this is going to happen to you as well, unless you prepare by not doing what I'm doing. So we've got MSQ equal to 1, MSQ equal to 6, MSQ equal to 4. We don't want to use an MSQ equal to any other number. We want him to be ever present. But we also don't want to do like a bajillion checks on everything. So I think we will go ahead and copy the event sheet, and I think we will go ahead and paste it right here, right past the first event sheet. Let's see what happens when we do that and then delete the rightmost event sheet that we copied. And playtest and full screen. Oh, there's my taskbar. Okay, the king is there, he doesn't say anything. The guard is there, he doesn't say anything. The chest is not open. Isekai guy talks. Now he doesn't have anything to say. Neither does he. The chest still does not open. The king still does not talk. Why? MSQ is 1. Why doesn't the king talk? Let's find out. MSQ was not equal to 4, not equal to 6. It's because that did not work. My copy and paste technique did not work. So now what we're going to do, if we're going to work around this, we're going to actually do the correct thing. We're going to copy the very first event sheet. We're going to click on the second event sheet, and then we're going to click paste. And that's going to copy the first one after the second one. That's how you get around that. Now we can delete, now we can delete the first event sheet on here. And the very, very leftmost event sheet is the blank one. This is the one that will always fire if the other conditions are not true. So you can, at this point, do one of two things. You can give your NPC something to say when their role is done, when they've got no more use for your hero, when they've got no more part to play in the story, and they can always just say their catchphrase. They can always just say whatever dumb thing NPCs say. But you can also, to make it even better, give them something interesting to say based on what your MSQ variable is set to. Even if the player never goes and talks to them again, they will have tons of flavor text. So if you are trying to portray the passage of time in your game by increasing that MSQ variable, then you've gone to fight the monster. You went back to the king. He said, "You've proved yourself worthy. Go save my daughter." You journey on a quest to go save his daughter. You come back. The king thanks you. He says, the kidnapper is an evil necromancer who lives in the north in the frozen forest. Take my daughter, who's a powerful mage, and go fight him. You should, if you want to now, hold on. You could, if you wanted, give some random NPC in town something to say after each one of these missions was completed, after each quest stepped into the next one and that MSQ variable increased by 1. You could have some villager, or every villager, if you were ambitious, have something new to say. So you'd get back, and the dumb kid who runs around the fountain all day would be like, "Yay, you went to save the princess? That's so great." And then you go talk to the king, and if you talk to the kid again, he won't have any effect on the story. He's not part of the quest objective, but he could say something like, "Yay, you're going to go to the frozen forest and kill the Lich Lord? That's awesome, yay." And you could do this with every single NPC you have, with every event you have, or at least just the noteworthy events, because in SGB there's a limit of 20 sheets per event. You could still theoretically do it with every single event. You would just put a copy of that NPC on the map, and you'd give them 20 sheets that had completely different variables than the 20 sheets of the first NPC. But anyway, that's just a lot of things that you can do in order to play test your game, and then to also give it flavor. So we've done this. We've put that condition at the very beginning, and I want to do it for this guy too, so we're going to copy that, and we're going to paste that, and then we're going to delete that. And if you want to skip having to do all of those steps, then you'll do it right the first time, and you'll leave the first event sheet blank with the dumb thing that the NPC says every single time you talk to him. And now we'll test play one last time. I might test play 10 more times to make sure that the game is running correctly. I'll test play as many times as it takes. But for now, this should do it. Talk to the guard to get into the storeroom. He's still here, he's still here, the chest is still here. You'll notice the monster's not here because I didn't fix his sheet. Hey, you can go into the treasure room. Hick. These guys still don't say anything. Monster's still not there, but now I should be able to get the treasure, and I can't. And you already know why. It's because I put an event sheet with no conditions on the treasure. So I'm way over time now, I gotta go. But I hope that this has helped you out a lot. I hope that it's given you some solid foundation upon which you can build or prototype your next SGB game. Or if you want to enhance your existing SGB project, but you need the motivation to do it, you can do it with just one map and one variable. So, thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you've got any ideas to enhance this particular technique, this tutorial, please share them down below. I'm all for motivating other people to get thinking and talking and sharing their own great ideas. And of course, you could also do this exact same video, but so much better than I've done it. So, if you can do that, then go for it as well. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye for now.